Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 2 of Green Vibes podcast. And today we are talking with a special guest, Paul Watson. Captain Paul Watson will talking about what's happening with him and Shepherd and the new foundation, Captain Paul Watson Foundation. Hi, Captain. How are you?
Oh, pretty good. Thank you.
Hi, how are you? Everything's okay?
All right.
Awesome. Thank you. So, Paul, you can start? Okay. So, Paul, tell us about because it's hard not to link your name with C.S. Shepherd, right? So many years that you were at the front of this amazing company, amazing organization. And we always see when some people say Paul Watson, for sure they're going to remember C.S. Shepherd, right? So tell us about what happened, if you are still work with C.S. Shepherd. Just give an explanation about what happened right now.
Well, the problem is that my name is so closely related to Sea Shepherd. That means because of that, Sea Shepherd USA is presently suing me, taking me to court, claiming that I have no right to use my own name because they're saying that my name is so closely linked to Sea Shepherd is causing confusion among Sea Shepherd supporters, and therefore they have the rights to my name. They already took away my right to use the name of the group I founded and also the logos I designed. And this all happened back it was slowly happening. I was being marginalized from the organization. But in June, I was brought to a board meeting where they said they were going in a different direction and that my past was actually an embarrassment to Sea Shepherd because of what we did. And I said, well, I can't support this new direction you're taking, which is basically doing nothing except raising money. And they said, well, you're an employee of Sea Shepherd. Do what you're told. And I said, no, I don't think so. I didn't set up Sea Shepherd to be an employee or to make money. So I resigned from Sea Shepherd USA, but I was still with Sea Shepherd Global. And but Sea Shepherd USA, under the directorship of this guy named Pritam Singh, who had taken over, he had covertly registered trademarks around the world, 70 trademarks. And he went to Sea Shepherd Global and said, well, I own you. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to dismiss Paul Watson from the global board. And they didn't even have a meeting. They didn't have a discussion. They didn't have a vote. I get an email on September 2nd saying, you're dismissed from the global board.
By email?
Yeah. Lamy Eslam Lamy is president of Sea Shepherd France. She wasn't invited to the meeting either. And just last week, they dismissed her from the global board for asking questions. Apparently, you're not supposed to ask questions about the campaigns. So anyway, that's the situation. So I set up the the Paul Watson Foundation. Reasoning being is that I didn't think they, could stop me from using my own name, but that's what they're trying to do now, is to legally try to stop me from using my own name. Okay. But the Captain Paul Watson Foundation has been founded, and the purpose of the foundation is to carry on the work I've been doing for the last 45 years. And specifically, we're going to concentrate on doing something which has been a lifelong ambition of mine, is to eradicate the perversion of whale killing. And so we intend to strike out this summer to go after the Icelandic whaling fleet, and we're preparing to return to the Southern Ocean because Japan is intending to return to the Southern Ocean, and we want to be prepared for them when they do that. Thanks to the fact that many of the Sea Shepherd supporters still support me. John Paul DeJoria, longtime supporter, called me up because they had scrapped the vessel that he had sponsored and was named after him, and they didn't give him any reason why. And he called them up and he said, well, it was getting old, and he said, well, why didn't you just give it to Paul? And they said, well, we offered it to him, but he turned it down. And I said, JP, that's a lie. They never offered it to me. So he said, go find a ship. I'll sponsor it. So we've got a new ship. It's a 52-meter former Scottish Fisheries Patrol vessel, very fast, very strong.
So just a question, sorry to interrupt. So what about your own ships that you have in the Sea Shepherd? It's all gone?
They took them away.
They took all the ships also?
They scrapped most of them or sold them.
Oh.
I was especially disappointed with the Bob Barker, which I had secured for Sea Shepherd back in 2009. And they sent it to a Turkish scrapyard. And I'm going, why would you do that? The Faroe Islands had threatened us that if they ever came to the Faroes, they would seize a Sea Shepherd ship. Send it to the Faroes, have them seize the ship, but make a story of it, make a drama out of it. Spain has also threatened to seize any Sea Shepherd ship, so send it to Spain. Go out dramatically, just like I did with the Sea Shepherd 2 and the Farley Mowat. I made Canada, seize the Sea Shepherd 2, and I also Canada seized the Farley Mowat. And we made big story, a lot of drama about the whole thing, and it was a campaign in itself. They could have done the same thing, but they don't want controversy anymore. That was what I was specifically told. I was too controversial. I was too confrontational, and that has no place in Sea Shepherd anymore. So what's happened since then is that some of the Sea Shepherd groups have rebelled against that global and the USA, and Sea Shepherd France, Sea Shepherd Brazil, Sea Shepherd UK, Sea Shepherd Hungary, and have banded together to create Sea Shepherd Origins, which is to be true to the original intent and objectives of Sea Shepherd.
So these other Sea Shepherds continue under your name, from Brazil, New Zealand, UK?
No, they don't support us. They're going.
No?
They were basically threatened, and they gave in. The only ones that had the courage to back up, to defend against the attacks by global, and that were France, the UK, Hungary, and Brazil. And they're being threatened too. So Sea Shepherd USA is suing Sea Shepherd Origins, saying they have no right to exist. So they
have no choice, right? They have no choice to continue.
This guy who has taken over is a Florida property developer. He holds hunting fishing licenses in Alaska and in Florida. He has no history of marine conservation, but he wants to control it. And he manipulated his way into a position to do it. The entire board of directors of Sea Shepherd USA are all his friends and family and employees. Not one of them has ever been on a Sea Shepherd campaign. So basically it was a hostile takeover.
It's our interest, right? It looked like that's their own interest for this.
Absolutely. So anyway, we can fight to get it back, but it's more important to continue to do the work we're doing. So we're going to continue doing that with the foundation and with Sea Shepherd Origins.
Yeah, this is something that I wasn't in my mind. Why? Because it looked like it's not that you quit so easy, right? But we didn't see any that you fight for this, right? To continue with the Sea Shepherd, right? You PC decided to quit.
No, we are fighting it. We're fighting. We're defending ourselves legally in the courts. But who knows how long that's going to take? But Sea Shepherd is using Sea Shepherd donations to sue us. We don't have those assets. We don't have that support base. So we're doing what we can with what we have, but we have a good legal defense, and we'll see where it goes. But that's secondary to the fact that we need to get out there and do what we were set up to do, and that is to stop whalers and illegal activities on the ocean.
That's what you have been done for years and years, right? That I think that you are right. It's better continue doing the right thing. That you did a great job during all those years, then stop it and fight with those peoples, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's more important to continue doing what we're doing than to fight. I mean, we will fight to defend it, but that's a secondary to what we need to do. This summer, we have to take on Iceland. They intend to kill up to 169 endangered fin whales, and we intend to stop them. In 2024, Japan intends to return to the Southern Ocean. Right now, they have 2 harpoon vessels in the Southern Ocean doing non-lethal research, and they're finishing the construction of a new $67 million whale meat processing factory ship. And they intend to deploy that in 2024. We need to be down in the Southern Ocean to do that. We also need to oppose krill harvesting down in the Southern Ocean. This is Norway and Japan. They want to take millions of tons of plankton, krill plankton, zooplankton. And for what? To make a cheap protein paste to feed to chickens and pigs and domestic salmon. And this plankton is the primary foundation for the food chain for penguins and whales and so many other animals down there. They're just literally going to steal it from their mouths. So we have to oppose that. The other thing is toothfish poaching. You know what? In 2015, we did stop 6 toothfish poachers in the Southern Ocean, but they're still down there. And one of the things that I resigned from Sea Shepherd Australia, excuse me one second. One of the reasons I resigned from Sea Shepherd Australia is I asked some questions which they refused to answer. And the questions are, why are you collaborating with Austral Fisheries, a toothfish fishery operation in the Southern Ocean? Austral Fisheries helped Sea Shepherd Australia get their tax-exempt status in Australia. They're doing podcasts together. They're supporting so-called sustainable fishing. There is no sustainable fishing. And the tragic thing about this is Austral Fisheries is 50% owned by a Japanese company called Morua. And this company was the company that owned the pirate whaler, the Sierra, that I shut down in 1979. So it's literally a slap in the face for Sea Shepherd of Australia to be working with a fishing company that is 50% owned by a Japanese whaling company. They refused to answer my questions. And because of that, they said they were going to dismiss me. And I said, don't bother. I'm going to resign. I can't have anything to do with Sea Shepherd Australia if you're going to be working in collaboration with a fishing organization, especially one that's taking endangered fish like toothfish from the Southern Ocean. So Sea Shepherd Australia has no intention of doing anything down in the Southern Ocean to stop fishing. So we have to go down and do that. So really what the Captain Paul Watson Foundation and the Sea Shepherd Origin is, we're the original spirit of what we established way back in 1977. And we're going to continue to do exactly what we've been doing. We haven't changed at all. And we're not going to be. The problem is that a lot of the people, Sea Shepherd became big. It became very big.
Yeah, exactly.
And because of that, people have jobs. And they're very comfortable in those jobs. And they want to keep those jobs. They offered me $300,000 a year to just shut up and be a figurehead. And I said, no, I didn't set this organization up to make money. Right? So that's, I want nothing to do with that. But like Jeff Hansen, who's a director for Sea Shepherd Australia, he's got a comfortable job. He doesn't want, so he's going to do what he needs to do to bring in the money and that. And the same with Sea Shepherd USA and Global. Let's not do anything controversial. Let's not have any confrontations. Let's not criticize governments. And here's the problem with Sea Shepherd Global. They're in partnership with African nations to stop illegal fishing. That's fine. But countries like Liberia and Tanzania are in partnership with the Japanese to support whaling. Sea Shepherd has no business being in an alliance with countries that are supporting whaling and supporting Japan at the International Whaling Commission. When Lamia Esamlami asked questions about the campaigns in Africa, she didn't get any answers. And when she insisted on getting answers, they dismissed her from the board.
So there is many reasons that we see that why Sea Shepherd goes to the not wrong direction. I'm not saying that. I'm not maybe yes, right? You can say better. But the direction that Sea Shepherd is taking, it's more political.
And money.
I think
money,
that right?
the problem in the world today is because everyone thinks at money, profits. And another, it's like they put a wall beside the eyes from the peoples, and the peoples see all good, but it's not good because who is in front of the organizations today justifying money, not about the animals or the sea, about the environment today. Unfortunately, today is the big problem with this. Leaders, the leaders from the world and the many people that are in front of the many big organizations, just thinking about the money and the greed and the status, and they don't think about the real passionate that's like Paul Watson and the people that fight for environment and the planet.
Yeah.
I started Sea Shepherd with no money. And throughout the years, there are many campaigns that we didn't have the money to do what we needed to do, but we did it anyway. We found a way to do it. So I think that my departure from Sea Shepherd has done two things for me. One, it's inspired me. And two, it's motivated me. I feel actually quite liberated that I'm no longer part of this bureaucratic system that doesn't want to do anything. That, in fact, they just want to present the illusion that they're doing things.
Yeah.
Because when you start, your story is so many, so
They
so
inspired us.
no,
right?
but reaction so many with me because when I read your post that you are quit about the Sea Shepherd, I feel you like me because years ago I quit about the company that I founded here in Canada, and the people made with me this exactly what the people made with you, and I create everything. And
The
people,
logo, the name.
the logo, the name, everything.
And she lost everything. No.
I lost everything. But for me, it is small yet. I can't imagine how you feel because Sea Shop is so big. So many years you work about that. And you, about what I say for the people, when you work with passion for something, you use your passion for this. You don't think about money.
No, and it's not uncommon. I mean, Steve Jobs was thrown out of Apple because they dismissed him, and then of course at some point they said, "Well, we need him back because it's not working."
Yeah.
But how do I feel about it? Like I said, I feel liberated from what was happening there, and they have the assets, they have the support lists, they have the funds, they have the ships that they took away and scrapped some of them. But what we have is the passion, the courage, and the imagination to continue doing what we're doing. And I have so many applications for crew for our ships. We have one ship, we're going to get another one. But I have so many applications for crew, almost all of them who are veterans of Sea Shepherd campaigns. So there are many, many people who still remain true to our original vision.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that countries like Japan or Australia, they have something with what happened with you with Sea Shepherd? They are involved with this at the behind the scene?
I have no idea. I do know that
because, as you said, Japan, it's back now 24. They are back, right? Mm-hmm. Technically, they are back doing the.
Japan still has me on the red notice. I'm on the Interpol red notice. I was on Costa Rica's Interpol red notice, but with the change of government, they dropped the charges against me, which shows you how political it is. But Japan still has me on the red notice. Now, the red notice is set up for serial killers, war crimes, and major drug traffickers. I'm the only person in the history of Interpol to be on there for trespassing. Conspiracy to trespass. I didn't hurt anybody. I didn't steal any money. I didn't damage any property. But I humiliated the Japanese government, and that's the reason that I'm on there. Now, they want to keep me on there to they want to keep me on there to prevent me from traveling. I don't think they want to extradite me because they've made no moves in the U.S. or in France where I've been to extradite me. But at some point, I just got to say, what the hell, I'm going to take the risk because if they arrest me and take me to Japan, probably won't get back. But you have to sometimes do things even though there's no way out. I remember back in 1979, I went after the pirate whaler Sierra. I chased this pirate whaling ship across the Atlantic into a Portuguese port, and there were 20 of us on the ship. And I called a crew meeting, and I said, "Look, that ship is sitting in the harbor. I'm going out. I'm going to ram it. I'm going to end its career right now." Now, I said to my crew, I can't guarantee you won't get hurt, but I can guarantee you're going to get arrested and probably go to jail in Portugal. And so here's your choice. You got 10 minutes to decide whether you're going to stay with me or leave. And if you want to leave, get your stuff and get on the dock because in 10 minutes, I'm leaving. Well, 10 minutes later, 17 of them were on the dock. But fortunately, the two that stayed with me were my first and third engineer. And so I was able to get the ship away from the dock. We crossed the harbor. I went full speed, hit the Sierra across the bow to destroy the harpoon, came in around 360 degrees and slammed into the side of it and ripped it open to the waterline. And I ended its career. Now, we were pursued by the Portuguese Navy, brought into the port captain's office in Leixões in Portugal. And the port captain charged me with gross criminal negligence. And I said, Captain, there wasn't anything negligent about this. We hit that ship exactly where we intended to hit it. It was deliberate. It was not negligent. And the captain looked at me and he laughed and he said, I don't know who owns that ship. And until I know who owns that ship, you're free to go. And I walked out the door. And I remember one of my crew members saying, well, I knew if you're going to get away with it, I would have been there too. Well, sometimes you got to do things that you know you're not going to get away with.
That's what they think that we keep us moving, right? So I saw that you are always try to do the best, right, for the seas, for the animals that live in the seas. And they are always more interested behind this that try to stop you, right, during all those years.
Over 10 years ago, I asked every crew member who came on board, are you prepared to risk your life to protect a whale? And some people say, well, that's asking an awful lot of people. I said, I don't think so. We ask young people all the time to risk their life for flags, religion, for real estate, for oil wells. A lot more noble to risk your life to protect an endangered species. They don't ask that question anymore. I intend to start asking it again. If you're not prepared to risk your life to protect a whale, then I don't want you on the ship. I need that kind of courage in order to make a difference. We cannot be meek about this. I have a personal reason for protecting whales. 1975, a whale chose to spare my life. It was a whale that had been harpooned by a Soviet harpoon vessel. And that whale came straight at us and up and over above a small boat we were in to come forward and crash down on top of us. And as his head rose up out of the water and I looked into his eye, I saw understanding. I saw that whale understood what we were trying to do. And I could see the effort he made to pull himself back. His head began to slide beneath the surface of the sea and he died. He could have killed us. He chose not to do so. But I saw something else in that eye. Pity. Not for himself, but for us.
Yeah, try to say something.
Why were we doing this? The Russians were not eating whale meat. They were killing them for oil, spermaceti oil, sperm oil. Mm-hmm. Primarily, it's a high heat resistant oil. And one of the things that they use it for is for lubricating intercontinental ballistic missiles. And I said to myself at the time, here we are destroying this incredibly intelligent, socially complex, self-aware, sentient being for the purpose of making a weapon meant for the mass extermination of human beings. And that's when it occurred to me, we as a species are insane. And I said at that moment, I'm not doing this for people. I'm doing it for them. And it all, of course, it'll benefit people, but I'm doing it for them. In 1986, when we sank half of Iceland's whaling fleet and destroyed their whale processing plant and shut them down for 17 years, I had a former colleague from Greenpeace. He came up to me and he said, what you did in Iceland was unforgivable, it's despicable, and you're an embarrassment to the movement. And I said, so? And he says, aren't you concerned about what people think about you? I said, no. Didn't sink those whaling ships for you or for Greenpeace or for any human being. We sank those whaling ships for the whales. Find me a whale, any whale that disagrees with what we did that day, and I tell you, we'll never do it again. But those are our clients, whales, sharks, sea turtles, the fishes, seabirds. Those are our clients. That's who we work for. And so I really don't care about the criticism that comes from people about what we do. As long as we adhere to my original philosophy of aggressive nonviolence, meaning we don't hurt anybody, and we've never hurt anybody. We've never caused an injury to anybody. And that's something I intend to always maintain. It's aggressive nonviolence, but we will stop the machinery that's being utilized. Years ago in Zimbabwe, a ranger was taken to task by human rights groups because he shot and killed a poacher who was about to kill a black rhinoceros. And human rights groups say, how dare you kill a human being to protect an animal? And I think his answer actually illustrated the hypocrisy of our society. He said, if I was a police officer in Harare and a man ran out of Barclays Bank with a bag of money and I shot him in the head and killed him right in front of everybody, you'd call me a hero and give me a medal. How is it that a bag of paper is worth more than the future heritage of Zimbabwe? Now, I'm not advocating that we kill anybody, but I'm just saying he certainly illustrated the hypocrisy of our society. We care more for property than we do for life. And a bag of paper is worth more than a species. Right now, we're living in a world where we're going to lose more species of plants and animals between 2000 and 2065 than we've lost in the last 65 million years. There's even a name for it, the Anthropocene, this sixth mass extinction event, and we're responsible for it. And therefore, I think each and every one of us has a responsibility, an obligation, a duty to do everything that we can to try and prevent this total destruction of the natural world. I don't want to live in a world that where cows and pigs and chickens outnumber all the other wild animals, where animals are only used for utilitarian purposes. Do you know right now that 40% of all the fish that's taken out of the ocean isn't eaten by people? It's fed to chickens and to pigs and to domestic salmon.
Yeah, exactly.
Or to cats. Cats, domestic house cats, are now eating more fish than all the seals in the North Atlantic Ocean. This is the kind of world that we created. It's a world out of balance, and it's a world that we cannot survive in. And that's why I say if the oceans die, we all die. Since 1950, there's been a 40% diminishment in phytoplankton populations in the sea. Phytoplankton provides, up to 70% of the oxygen we breathe and sequesters enormous amounts of CO2. And why is phytoplankton being diminished? Because we're killing off the whales and the seals and the fishes and the seabirds, those species that provide the nutrient base for the phytoplankton, the magnesium, the nitrogen, and the iron that they need to thrive. These animals are actually the farmers of the ocean, and their crop is phytoplankton, and it feeds the world. If phytoplankton disappears from the ocean, we all die. We do not live on a planet without phytoplankton. Phytoplankton means the death of the ocean, and when the ocean dies, we die with it.
Right.
This is a water planet. It's not the Earth. It's a planet ocean.
They don't think like that, and it's not only fishing, right? We saw a lot of trashes in the sea. That's the nest fishing that we saw a lot, right, from the sea. If you follow the news, we saw all the time so turtles stuck in the nest fishing, right, around the sea, plastic that they eat. So it's all the trash is also that those peoples live inside the sea.
And it's all happened in a very short period of time. I was born in 1950 when there were 3 billion people on the planet. Now there's almost 8 billion people. In the 1950s, we never saw plastic on the beaches. We never saw plastic fishing nets. I was raised in a fishing village in eastern Canada, and there was no plastic made in the lobster traps. It was all rope. All the floats were made of glass. All this happened in a very short period of time. And so we forget that what this planet is. We're really a spaceship. We're on this incredible voyage around the Milky Way galaxy. It takes 250 million years to make one revolution. The planet's only done it 20 times. And every spaceship has a life support system, and that life support system gives us the food we eat and the oxygen we breathe and regulates climate and temperature. And that life support system is maintained and operated by a crew of earthlings, a species. All of those species that are engineers that keep it running, that provide us with all of those things like the phytoplankton and the whales and the fishes and the trees and the plants and the parrot and even the bacterium, all are essential. What we human beings are, we're the passengers. We're having a wonderful time entertaining ourselves, amusing ourselves, and we're also killing off the engineers. We're murdering them. And there's only so many engineers you can kill before the machinery begins to fall apart. And that's what's happening right now. You take away the trees, take away the grasses, take away the plankton, and this world collapses and we collapse with it. So we have to start understanding that we are intimately connected to everything else. One of the great tragedies, I think, over the last 10,000 years is this philosophy or view called anthropocentrism. It's all about us. Everything that was created for us. We're the only species that matter. Everything is here to serve us. We have dominion over everything. That is really, I think, our undoing. We need to revert to a biocentric point of view, like many indigenous cultures have. The understanding that everything is connected. We need everything. We're part of everything. Biocentrism instead of anthropocentrism. And that's why I actually set up my own church called the Church of Biocentrism to try and get that idea across. Because we simply cannot continue to survive going on the way we're doing. And therefore, we have to fight to protect the natural world. And in so doing, we fight to protect ourselves. It's basically humanity's at war with ourselves. And we have to protect the world from ourselves.
I think today that we have a big issue to solve, but I don't know if someone have the answer, but and how we do that. But how we can teach the peoples today or new generation that they need to take care about the environment, about the oceans, about the animals. It's so hard you working about that. You understand that's why you're working during 45 years. And today, you don't see the children, the new generation, the people worry about the environment, about the animals. I see this every time. It's so hard. You try to show for the people, you need to take care. You need to take action for this. It's important. It's your life. If you don't take care about the environment, about the animals, you don't have a healthy life. You don't have a life.
Well, I think a lot of it is overwhelming to a lot of people, and therefore they just choose to step back, ignore, and not pay attention. I mean, human beings have always been very good at what I call adaptation to diminishment. As things become more and more diminished, we just simply accept it. You know, in the 1960s, if I were to have told you that in 40 years you'd be buying water in plastic bottles and paying more for that water than the equivalent amount of gasoline, you would have looked at me like I'm a complete idiot. Nobody's going to do that. And yet here we are. We've adapted to that diminishment. As species disappear, we just adapt to a new one. You know, orange roughy was a big fishery back in the 1990s. You never hear about it anymore because they wiped out the fish because an orange roughy takes 45 years to become sexually mature and lives to be 200 years. They couldn't compete with our exploitation. But we forget about it. We just move on to something else. I always thought one of the great tragedies is that we have wiped out so many species and we're forgotten that they were ever there. We forgot that there used to be beluga whales in Long Island Sound. There used to be walrus on the coast of Nova Scotia. That there used to be polar bears called white bears as far down as New England. We forget that we wiped out the Labrador duck and the Carolina parakeet and the passenger pigeon and the Newfoundland wolf and the eastern bison and on and on and on. So many species exterminated just within the last few hundred years. And we just went on and forgot about it, you know. And now you're seeing with climate change, you're seeing, like, for instance, animals are going to places. A walrus tried to go into Norway and they killed him. They just killed a walrus. At least the one that went to England was protected. But we're seeing now also whales and dolphins dying all over the world from so many things: noise pollution, chemical pollution, radiation pollution, acid rain, climate change. And yet, what are we doing about it? We're going on about business as usual. People are actually investing in extinction. There's money to be made from driving species to extinction. The bluefin tuna has been 90% removed from the sea. And it's now the most expensive fish in the world. They go for an average of $75,000 a fish in Japan. Some are sold for $1 million. And they could shut down the bluefin tuna fishery today for the next 15 to 20 years, and they could still have bluefin tuna because they have that tuna in warehouses in Japan. 15 years supply of bluefin tuna. But why don't they do it? Because if they do, and the fish are allowed to recover, what that means is that the price of their commodity in the warehouses will go down. They'll lose money. And if it goes extinct, then they'll have a priceless commodity on their hands. So they know that the fisheries are being diminished. They know that they're disappearing, but they're going to try and make as much money as possible because diminishment translates into scarcity, and scarcity translates into profit. And that's what's driving these fishing industries. There is no sustainable fishing anywhere on this planet right now. There's no such thing. The oceans are dying.
I think that, sorry, because you said the sustainable fishing. I think it is not sustainable. They created a symbol and they put in the products, so just to pretend to be nice with the environment.
We have some products that is a label say that sustainable fish.
It's not sustainable.
Well,
I can understand how, right?
The origin of this is in 1992, the United Nations Conference on the Environment. Gro Harlem Brundtland, who was the Norwegian prime minister, came and gave this address where everybody thought she was a great hero for doing it. And she invented the word sustainability. We need to have sustainable fisheries, sustainable forestries, but that's all it is a word.
Yeah.
And now everything is sustainable. You can buy endangered species like toothfish and it's labeled sustainably caught. It means nothing. It's just a form of marketing.
Yeah. Somebody, it's like you talk about the Japan. Now here in Canada, you have the petition for stopping the import the horses to Japan because the meat and I don't know. I think the people are unbelievable because sometimes I read a lot about Japan and they use the sharks, the whales, the horses, every animal. Why? Don't eat this.
Yeah, they use this as a business, right? They make a lot of money with all those meats.
Well, we do it everywhere. In Canada, we're still killing seals for no reason whatsoever.
Yeah, exactly.
The taxpayer about $25 million a year in subsidies to continue killing seals. And it's all for political reasons. Nobody eats them. There's no market for the seal pelts on that. Canada's quota is still 450,000 seals, but the only reason they're not killing that many is there's no market for them. So they kill about 40,000 a year. 40,000 seals are being killed for no reason at all. So that Justin Trudeau can carry his sealskin briefcase and look like he's supporting the people of Newfoundland, basically. The salmon farms in British Columbia are completely devastating wild salmon populations through the spread of viruses to indigenous populations of salmon, causing incredible pollutions. And wild salmon itself, domestically raised, farm-raised salmon is not a healthy product. It's full of chemicals. It's full of antibiotics.
Exactly.
And but you buy it, you can see it everywhere. Salmon, salmon, salmon. And that's because it's mass-produced in a factory-like way, but it's not a healthy product at all.
Yeah, even people say that there is omega, right? Eat salmon because it's rich of omega-3, omega, and it's not, right?
Eat nuts. Nuts have a lot of omega.
Well, it's omega-3 with a dash of antibiotics and carcinogenic chemicals.
Yeah, that's the omega-3 that comes in the
even the color of farm-raised salmon isn't accurate because it's a dirty white. Nobody's going to buy that dirty white salmon. They
make
dye,
pink, right? The pink.
Yeah, they put dye in the food pellets to artificially color the meat before they kill them. The salmon in the wild have a pinkish, reddish flesh because they eat krill, and the krill, is what colors them. They can't do that on farm-raised salmon, so they have to put an artificial dye in there to do the same thing.
Yeah, that's all we always talk when people say about eat animals, eat a lot of things. It's what you put inside your body, right? So if you decide to put chemicals, if you decide to put antibiotics, right?
We kill 80 billion animals a year. And to raise those animals requires taking incredible amounts of fish from the ocean to make fish meals. It takes incredible amounts of plant life which could be used for other purposes in order to raise them. 80 billion animals a year being killed, and it's out of sight, it's out of mind. We don't have to think about it, and that's not including the fishes. That's just the animals killed on that. We live in a world right now where pigs eat more fish than sharks. We live in a world where chickens eat more fish than albatrosses and puffins. It's a world out of balance, and it's a world that cannot continue to exist.
Yeah, you're right. So
the other thing we have is illusions. For instance, let's use alternative energies, electric cars. Okay, It takes a ton of cobalt and rare metals in order to make one electric car. And where do these electric cars get their power from? Electric generating plants, coal-fired. We just not think about that. Let's just go buy ourselves an electric car. We're building offshore windmills, which are killing whales right now on the eastern seaboard of the United States. The pile driving of these offshore windmills is creating decibel levels which are toxic to marine life. And once the windmills start running, they create vibrations which send sound waves through the ocean. That's not taken into account. They're just not. Alternative energies are not the answer that people are thinking about. I mean, if you have a solar-powered roof and you're creating your own energy from the sun, that's fine. That's one thing.
Yeah.
But
Perfect.
Mass production, that's quite another thing altogether.
Mm-hmm. Perfect. So about the Captain Watson Foundation, what's your next step in Apple? What you are working on? Because you said that you just got one ship, right?
Yeah. We had the ship.
What's your next step?
And it's going into dry dock in February. It should be ready in March. But we're planning on going to counter the Icelandic whaling operations June, July, and August. And so that's our major campaign for the year, is to try and do that. We're also working to stop the killing of pilot whales and dolphins in the Faroe Islands. And we will be opposing whaling by Norway, and getting prepared in 2024 to go down to the Southern Ocean to protect whales and also plankton and fish down there. So that's what our objective is. We're working on trying to secure a second ship, and hopefully that'll happen. But one way or another, we'll get a second ship. And Sea Shepherd France is getting their own ship. And we just secured a ship for Sea Shepherd Brazil, which is a riverboat, which is we're doing work on the river dolphins in the Amazon. So we're working in partnership with them. And
so you can continue to work in other countries also, right? The same country that you was before with Sea Shepherd, you are still working on these countries.
Well, we're working with Sea Shepherd in Brazil and UK and France. But in those countries where we don't have Sea Shepherd origins, Italy, Spain, Germany, New Zealand, Australia, we set up the Captain Paul Watson Foundation there, and to carry on. Unfortunately, I've got so many people who have worked with us for years who have decided, they don't want any part of this revisionism within the organization. By the way, if you go to the Sea Shepherd US website, I don't exist.
You are not there anymore?
Remove my picture, my bio, my history, everything. It's like I never...
Even the history, if you go to history, because sometimes you put history, there is nothing.
Not in the US.
About it.
No, I don't exist. I mean, that's what the Bolsheviks did after the War of Russia.
And that's what I said at the beginning, where it's hard to talk about your name and don't remember Sea Shepherd. Well, there's no way. I was talking with my brother.
You connect you and Sea Shepherd.
What you do?
I was talking with my brother recently that I told him that I'm gonna talk with Paul Watson. And the first thing that my brother said, the Paul Watson from Sea Shepherd, I saw him in the Discovery Channel. I watched him there. I said, no, but he's not on the Sea Shepherd anymore. Oh, how come? He didn't know about that. So your name so far, it's linked. It's a very strong link with Sea Shepherd.
Yeah, they're rebranding themselves, removing their history, creating a new point of view, which doesn't really offer much. I think it's very mediocre. For instance, Sea Shepherd USA only has one campaign to protect the vaquita porpoise in the Gulf of Mexico, which is a campaign I initiated in 2015 and which worked really well. We confiscated over 150,000 meters of nets, and it was actually working. Now they don't confiscate nets. Now they watch. Sort of say they like to watch because they're there to monitor the situation and report any infractions to the Mexican government, and the Mexican government does nothing on that. So, but it makes them look good. It makes Mexico look good. It makes Sea Shepherd says, we're working with the government of Mexico. Sea Shepherd Global saying, we're working with the African countries in partnership with them. Non-government organizations should not be working with governments. Absolutely not. That's why they're called non-governmental organizations.
No government.
Because as soon as you start working with governments, you're compromised. because the governments are going to find ways to carry on business one way or the other, although they're going to promote a pack of lies to look like they're actually doing something. But let's take a look at United Nations Conference 1992. Every single promise made, not one of them has ever been implemented. All of the COP conferences, they've been totally co-opted. Nothing is done. This year, they had the COP 26 conference in Egypt, where 75,000 political prisoners are there, and they actually have the gall to say, oh, this is young people speaking truth to power. Of course, it was all sponsored by Coca-Cola. They were the official sponsors of COP20.
Yeah, I saw. I was talking today, if you heard that. See the sponsor for the COP? That's a Coca.
So it's all like being co-opted. It's being co-opted and taken over, and governments will now, I remember in 92, McDonald's was a sponsor for the conference in Rio de Janeiro, and these companies are going to try and greenwash themselves every which way they can. And
it's like us. I think one year ago, have the organization here in Canada that helped the build the plant trees.
They plant trees.
And the big partnership with them is Shell.
Yeah.
It's a Shell. If you go to the website, sponsorship by Shell. What? Okay.
How?
Shell their plant tree. That's good. But, right?
Well, you can say anything if you got the money to pay for it,
Exactly.
It's all public relations. You can justify anything through the manipulation of media. You can really justify absolutely everything from war to environmental destruction.
This is exactly that we try to show for peoples. Now, on this year, I have a new project here in Canada. In the beginning, I think to put that as no organization, but now I am this me and him without partnership, without government, because don't work. I tried during 2 years. It's a big project. But I think, okay, go by myself because I have a lot of things. And the last week, I was looking for buy a land here in Canada, in Ontario. And something take my attention because when I read the description, I can build on the land, but I can rent. So if I use the land for the recreation, for hunting animals, I can.
But to buy something, no, you can't.
How the government allow you buy a land for hunting?
And they borrow money for this.
Yeah.
And they give you money for this.
Governments can't be trusted. And as Margaret...
totally crazy. I think, oh my goodness, what is happening in the world that some good people try to show everything you work a lot for this. I know other people that all the time work very hard to make the right thing and show the right thing for people, building a better world for our species. But I think the biggest part of society is blind. The government have blinded the peoples, and then they cannot see what's happening.
Yeah. Anthropologist Margaret Mead once said that don't depend upon governments or corporations to solve any social problems. They never have, they never will. All social revolution comes from the passion of individuals and people working together like that. And I certainly agree with that. The other thing that too, a message I'd like to get across to people is, sometimes people, like I said, that people get overwhelmed by the problem and tend to get depressed or pessimistic. And I found many years ago, I found a solution to that. Back in 1973, I was a medic, a volunteer medic for the American Indian movement during the occupation of Wounded Knee in South Dakota. And we were surrounded by 3,500 federal agents who were shooting at us. They killed 2 and wounded 46. And I went to Russell Means, who was the leader of the American Indian movement. And I said, we don't have any hope of winning here. It's impossible. The odds against us are overwhelming. And he told me something which has stayed with me ever since. He said, well, we're not concerned about the odds against us. We're not concerned about winning or losing. We're here because it's the right place to be, the right time to do it, and the right thing to do. Don't worry about the future. Don't dwell on the future. Your power is in the present. That's where you make a difference. And the present will define what the future is. So I don't really think about winning or losing or what the future holds. All I can do is what I can do in the present. And hopefully that will make a difference. You know, what we do today, politically, economically, with activism, will impact what the world is going to be like, not just 100 years from now, 1,000 years, 1,000,000 years from now. Every time we remove a species, we impact this planet for millions of years into the future.
Millions, yeah.
So we have to take that responsibility seriously, that this planet and life on this planet depends upon us. Now, I'm not saying, first of all, we don't have the power to destroy the planet. The planet's gone through worse things than we ever could throw at it. So this is really not about saving the planet. Earth will do real well. It'll be here millions of years from now. But will we be? And what species will we take with us? And what kind of world will it be? That world will be defined by our actions today. I know for sure we're not going to be part of it, but I certainly hope that it's a beautiful planet in the future. And that's only going to be done by protecting as many species of plants and animals as we possibly can. You know, a funny story, about a few years ago, I got a call from Brett Hume, who's a reporter for the Fox News Network, and he said, I heard you say in a speech that trees and fish and worms and whales are more important than people. I said, yeah, I said that. He said, how can you say something so outrageous as to say worms and bees and trees are more important than people? Well, I said it because it's true. Because they can live here without us. They don't need us, but we need them. Without them, we don't survive. They're more important than us, far more important than us. So therefore, yes, they are more important than us.
And by the history, they came first than us, right? The animals, it was here on the earth first, then the humans.
Yeah, we're not we're just we're actually an unsuccessful branch of evolution. We're the only living hominid primate. We wiped out our competitors, and now we want to just take control of everything. I always used to describe human beings as a bunch of arrogant, over-conceited naked apes who've become divine legends in our own minds. We think we're gods, but we're not. We're just a very unsuccessful primate. And what I mean unsuccessful is that unless we change, we won't have a future.
Sure.
And how people can support you, Paul, from now?
It's thepaulwatsonfoundation.org, or you can look us up on any of the social networks and that.
Okay, perfect. Any other question? Do you have anything to complete, Paul?
No, unless you have anything
else. Okay, it was awesome. I'm pretty sure that if we continue talking here, you're going to be there through the whole day. And it's amazing. So just say thank you for your time here with us again for the second time. And
we always will support you.
Always. I know I'm your fan since when I was watching Discovery, I saw you on the TV and all your job that you are doing very, very good for the planet, for all the animals. And I just wish you success, that you continue, keep doing. Don't stop. I'm pretty sure that you'll never stop doing. Even some peoples or politicals or whatever try to stop us. I'm pretty sure that you are more strong in there than.
And you give hope for many peoples and many other activists in the world. You are the top. Well, I'm sure.
Thank you very much.
Okay, Paul. So appreciate. Thank you very much again. And see you next time.
All right. Thank you.
Okay.